Hi viewers. Today also an important topic regarding markets. We have explained classification of markets and AR and MR curves in perfect competition and imperfect competition. Then price determination in monopoly market. Today we're going to discuss price determination in perfect competition. So, as you all are aware, that markets are divided on the basis of place, time, and competition. And when we are taking competition as criteria, markets are again subdivided into perfect competition and imperfect competition. Okay, so now coming to the topic, price determination of a firm, single firm in a perfect competition. Just before going into the topic, I'll just briefly explain the features of the special features or the characteristics of a perfect competition. Okay, there are many characteristics, but I'll be touching the characteristics of a perfect competition has to be dealt in a detailed way. That will, it will be. We have to take a separate session for that. Now, just explaining the topic of today, I'll just briefly explain the features of a perfect competition. And the features of perfect competition are that there are large number of buyers and sellers in the market. Okay, so the sellers are very large in number, and also the buyers are also large in number. So if we compare the sellers, whereas in imperfect competition we have one seller in monopoly, two sellers in duopoly, and few sellers in oligopoly, and many sellers in monopolistic competition. Okay, but in perfect competition there are large number of sellers and large number of buyers. This is the important feature of a perfect competition. And the second important feature is that these large number of sellers or producers are producing homogeneous products. Now, what are homogeneous products? Homogeneous products are, you know, products which you uh, cannot differentiate one from the other. All the products which are, same in size, color, packing, uh, taste, whatever the characteristics you take for a product, you cannot differentiate a product from other product, which means all the products are similar, same, alike. So these same type of products are called as homogeneous products. So the large number of producers are producing homogeneous products. And I've also told you in the previous session that these large number of producers, or if we call them as one individual unit, you call them as firm, one firm. Okay, this one firm is a price taker, not a price maker. So so in the perfect competition, each firm accepts a price given by the industry. So all the firms have to accept the price. So that's why they are called as price takers. So in this market, in this perfect competition, you find that there is a single price in the entire market. So large number of sellers and buyers, and these large number of producers or sellers producing homogeneous products, and single price is present in the market. Why single price is present? Because each firm is only accepting the price given by the industry. They don't have the independence of or they don't have the decision in price making. They cannot increase the price or decrease the price. So they simply accept the price that is given by the industry. So you find a single price in the entire market. And one more feature of perfect competition is that there is free entry and free exit of firms into the industry. What does it mean? Free entry and free exit means that when the existing firms are getting profits, new firms out of the market are attracted to these profits, and they they can freely come into the industry to produce these homogeneous goods. And when a firm or few firms are getting losses, they have the independence to just shut down their production, and they can freely go out of the market or go out of the industry. So there is no restriction for new firms to come into the industry to produce the homogeneous products, and there is no restriction to the existing firms which are getting losses to exit. So there is free entry of firms and exit of firms. And few more important characteristics are that there is no transport cost in this market. Why there should not be added transport cost means we have already told you that there is a single market, single price. Single price exists in this market. So if say the product at place A is 10 rupees, the same product at place B should also be 10 rupees. This same product at place C should also be 10 rupees single price. Now, to happen this single price, we should not add the transport cost to the price. Even though the product is moved from one place to another, the transport cost should not be added. If we add the transport cost, then the price may differ. It may increase or decrease. So the transport cost should not be added. And one more important feature of this market, peculiar feature, is that advertisements price, or what you call the advertisements are not at all required in this market. What does this advertising mean? Advertising is something to attract the customers, the buyers. The producers has to incur some extra amount by exhibiting the product in newspapers or in radios or in the TVs. They have to incur some extra amount. By incurring this extra amount, by advertising, they attract the consumers to purchase their products. Now this is not required. Each firm has no need to incur some extra amount on advertising. Why? As I've told you before, that each firm has to produce homogeneous product. A firm and another firm, there is no differentiation of the product at any way. Like you cannot differentiate the product. Firm A to firm B, C, how many firms are there producing that product, has to produce the same kind of product. So there is no need of advertisement that my product is much more superior to other firms' product. or as advertisement explains that their product is much more superior. So this is not at all necessary for a firm in perfect competition. So advertisement cost is not necessary, transport cost is not added. So there are few important features or characteristics. And one more important feature is that the average revenue and marginal revenue curves in this perfect competition are horizontal to x-axis. That also I've explained in a separate session why AR and MR curves are price AR, MR. This is quantity. So AR and MR curves in perfect competition are horizontal. AR is equal to MR or parallel to x-axis. Why? I've just explained before also. Because AR is price. AR is equal to price. So the price line or average revenue is uh, horizontal. Why? Why? Because I have told you that in perfect competition there is single price in the entire market. So a firm cannot increase or decrease a price by its own. I have told they accept the price which is given by the industry. So each firm has to do it. So that's the reason, and they have the freedom or independence of selling the number of products. They can sell n number of products to the consumers, but they cannot increase the price or decrease the price. There is a tendency, like if a producer starts decreasing the price of the product, every consumer goes there to purchase. But in case of perfect competition, this is not the case, because if a firm is reducing its price, the other firms will know it. So you can say it has perfect knowledge. Each firm has a perfect knowledge about the price, about the quantity it is selling, about the price the other firm is selling. So that's the reason this market is called as perfect market. Okay, perfect knowledge of actions and behavior of the consumers as well as producers. So that's the reason AR is horizontal in nature and it's parallel to x-axis. And one more thing is that AR and MR curves are coinciding. Okay. Now coming to our topic, today's topic. Today's topic is price determination of a firm in perfect competition. Okay. Now how is price determined in a perfect competition? Okay. Before determining a price, we have to learn equilibrium conditions of a firm. There are two equilibrium conditions of a firm. The two equilibrium conditions are two equilibrium conditions are, this is important, MC is equal to MR. Marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue. This is the one condition. Second condition is MC curve or marginal cost curve should cut the marginal revenue curve from below. This is very, very important. So the two conditions for equilibrium of a firm is marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue, and marginal cost curve should cut the marginal revenue curve from below. So when we get to the equilibrium position, then later on we can go for determining the price. The first step is we have to see the equilibrium condition. Where is the equilibrium of that firm? That we have to first, denote. Then later on, actual process, the determination of price comes. So we will explain this with the help of a diagram. Okay, let the conditions be like that, and quantity here, price, cost, revenue. Okay, price, cost and revenue are denoted on y-axis, and on x-axis you are taking quantity supplied. Okay. Now, imperfect competition. What are the two curves that we want is MR curve, and I've told you that AR and MR curves in perfect competition is horizontal. Okay, this is AR is equal to MR, and AR is equal to P. We'll denote it as P. I'll explain you why we are denoting the point as P. Why not you can put some other, let us say L or S, or why only P? That I'll explain you later. AR is equal to MR. Before determining the price, I have told you that first of all we have to get to the conditions of equilibrium. MC is equal to MR. We got a curve MR. Now we have to take MC curve. And I have also told you that cost curves, average cost and marginal cost curves are U-shaped curves. So I will be taking a U-shaped curve and name it as MC. As students, you have to remember one point, that whenever you are drawing a diagram, what is to be noted in x-axis, y-axis, that you should never forget. Immediately when you are drawing a diagram, you have to write x-axis and y-axis, and later on that curves you are drawing, you have to compulsorily name them, otherwise a layman doesn't understand. So I have taken a marker. So a marker is there, which is horizontal to x-axis, and MC curve, which is U in shape, I have taken. Now we'll get to the conditions. The conditions are MC is equal to MR. Okay, where MC is equal to MR, the point here, MC is equal to MR. Okay, this is one point. Okay, I draw, say this is Q1. Okay, let me say this is point S. Now there is also another point, MC is equal to MR. Okay, so say the point is E. Okay, Q1, Q2. So we got the first point, that MC is equal to MR. MC is equal to MR. At point S, we can see MC is equal to MR, and at point E also we can see that MC is equal to MR. But in a firm, one cannot uh, uh, have two equilibriums. Equilibrium is such a point that um, it's only one point, one single point. So how come we are getting 2 points here then? So something has to be, dealt with. Something more has to get into this picture. So two equilibriums is not at all possible. So only one equilibrium point. And equilibrium point is that, the producer, he doesn't want to move away from it, change his position. So he's comfort with that position, with the, you know um, either he's getting more profits or less cost. So that is a point called equilibrium. But how come in this form we are seeing two equilibriums? So now comes the second important condition. The second important condition is MC curve should cut. MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. Okay. So according to this condition, we are said that point E is equilibrium and point S is not equilibrium, because here MC curve is cutting the MR curve from above, and here MC curve is cutting the MR curve from below. So point S is not the equilibrium point, point E is the equilibrium point. Okay, now why? Now here comes a big task. Why MC curve should cut MR curve from below? Why not from above? So why E is the only equilibrium? Why not S? So that we are going to explain. Okay, I'll just explain. Say at point S, what is happening? Point S, say the price is OP, as AR is equal to P, so this is P. So at point S, price is OP and quantity produced is OQ1. Got it? Okay. This point I'll put some other one. Say the producer is producing somewhere here, and let the point be Q2. Okay, Q2. What is happening at Q2? I'll say this point may be L. We'll write this point as M. Clear? Now at Q2 or OQ2 production, to produce OQ2 goods, what is the cost? Say this is N. To produce OQ2 goods, cost is, how much cost? The firm is, spending, say ON, or you can write it as NQ2. Okay, OQ2 production, the cost is, what is the cost? ON, because we are touching the cost curve. So the cost is ON or NQ2. Okay. Now at this point OQ2, what is the revenue? By selling this OQ2 product, the revenue he is getting is, take the point, yeah, where the L is, touching the revenue curve. The revenue he is getting is LQ2 or OP. You can call it as LQ2 or OP. Now we can clearly understand that cost is less than revenue. The firms, to produce a certain amount of product, cost is less and revenue is more. What does it mean? With less cost, it is getting more revenue, which means the firm is getting profits. The firm is getting profits at the position of producing Q2 amount. Okay, to produce, in order to produce Q2, if it is getting profits, will it stop at OQ1 or will it continue? Certainly it will continue because it is getting more profits. Okay, now I'll tell you a point, we'll take here, say point Q3. Q3 also, at point Q3 also, at point Q3 also, cost is less than revenue. Cost is less than revenue. Less cost, more revenue, which means the firm is getting profit. So it will not stop at point Q3 also. Now Q. Okay, we have seen at point Q, cost and revenue are same. Okay, after Q, I'll take one more point and I'll explain here. What will happen after Q or after equilibrium position? Okay, just I'll take the point, say Q4. Okay, now what is happening at Q4? Say I'll take this point as L1 and say this point is M1. Okay, now at point Q4 or OQ4, in order to produce OQ4 products, the cost is, see, the line touching the cost curve is M1 Q4, and the revenue is, this is cost, the revenue is L1 Q4. Okay, see carefully, to produce OQ4 products, the cost is more, and by selling those products, the revenue the firm is getting is less, which means the firm is getting losses. So no firm will continue its production by getting losses. So Q4 is not advisable. Okay, Q1, the firm will not stop at Q1 because after Q1, Q2, Q3, the firm is getting profits. So Q1 is not the stopping point. Q2, Q3 will continue. It is advisable, and see Q again Q. This is a equilibrium position where the cost and revenue are equal. After Q, again the firm is getting losses. So, by this explanation we can understand that S is not advisable and only E is advisable. So here the firm, for the condition, and marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue, and marginal cost curve should cut the marginal revenue from below. Very, very important topic. You have to understand the two conditions. This diagram is very, very important, and with this help of a diagram, we'll be explaining how the firm will be getting profits, losses and normal profits. Thank you viewers.